I'm Mr. Leung. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to study or how to do revision on the topic of eye accommodation. Based on our common sense, if we would like to focus on the object which is far away from us, we do not make our eyeball longer like the telescope. So how can our eyeball accommodate in order to see near object or distant object clearly? Let's recall the basic study skills including terminologies, observations, and key questions. First of all, we need to recall the basic concept of the eyeball structures involved in eye accommodation. 1, 2, 3, 4. First of all, we need to recall the basic concepts of the eyeball structures involved in eye accommodation. They are ciliary body, suspensory ligaments, and the lens. We have to identify the adaptive features of those structures. If you can link the function and the structure together, you can easily talk about the eye accommodation. The adaptive features are highlighted in green color. Let's start with the ciliary body. Ciliary body is a muscle ring, which can contract and relax to control the lens thickness. Then we have the inelastic suspensory ligaments. The inelastic characteristic can help to transmit the force produced by the ciliary body to the lens. The suspensory ligaments are either stretched or slackened. One thing I would like to remind you is that the suspensory ligament is different from the ligament joining bones together. The ligament in the movable joints are elastic in order to allow a certain degree of movement of the joint. So many students, they ask about the mechanism between the ciliary body and also the suspensory ligament. Okay, so actually this A4 paper, okay, is the suspensory ligament. It is inelastic, okay, inelastic. So my both hands, they are the ciliary body. So if my both hands, the ciliary body, they contract, okay, they exert a force, okay, to make the suspensory ligament become stretched. Okay, the tension is very high, and if my both hands, okay, they are relaxing, just like the ciliary body, they are relaxing. Okay, so the suspensory ligaments, okay, the tension become very small, and also the suspensory ligament, they become slackened. So that's the concept between the ciliary body and also the suspensory ligament. Last but not least, we have the convex lens for converging light rays onto the retina. Since it is convex, it can converge the light rays entering the eyeball. Since it is transparent, it can allow light rays to enter the eyeball. If the lens becomes cloudy, you will suffer from cataract. Since it is elastic, so the shape of the lens can be changed. This concept is very important for us to realize the eye accommodation. Apart from the basic biological terminologies, I need to talk about the Physics 1001. These are very introductory concepts of physics. First of all, I would like to talk about the light rays. For the light rays from distant objects are indicated by parallel light rays. For example, the bus, which is moving towards the bus stop from far away. We can represent the light ray by using parallel rays. Then, diverging light rays are used to represent the light ray from near object. Why do we need to know it? It's because it can help us to determine the lens thickness when seeing distant or near object. Secondly, the lens thickness is related to the converging power of the lens. For the convex lens, it can help to converge the light ray to the focus, f. Thicker lens and thinner lens have different focal lengths. Thinner lens have a longer focal length, while the thicker lens have a shorter focal length. Of course, in simple words, what you need to know is that the thinner the lens, the lower the converging power is, and the thicker the lens, the higher the converging power is. That's enough for the physics part. These are essential, but all you need to know are the light rays representation and converging power of convex lens. At least the slogan you have to know as a biology student: the thicker the lens, the higher the converging power is. The thinner the lens, the lower the converging power is. It's important to remind you that mammals, birds, and reptiles can change the lens thickness for seeing distant and near objects. So that's why we do not change the eyeball size for seeing objects of different distance. The distance between the lens and retina remains unchanged during eye accommodation. Therefore, we need to think which structure in the eyeball should be changed for eye accommodation. In these two diagrams, I would like to show you the position of the retina remain unchanged, and for the lens of the original thickness, it cannot help to converge the light ray onto the retina precisely. As mentioned before, the distance between the lens and the retina does not change at all. That's why we need to change the lens thickness in order to see distant and near objects. And that's why I mentioned in the short physics section. At this moment, you should be able to identify the lens thickness when seeing the distant and near object. Now, we know that the thickness of the lens will be changed during the eye accommodation. However, according to the adaptive feature of the lens are just elastic structures, so it cannot control its shape itself. Therefore, we need another structure to change the lens thickness. The structure are ciliary body and suspensory ligaments mentioned before. And just like the pupil reflex in the previous video, the first step is to consider the state of the muscle ring, which is the ciliary body. You can see the normal ciliary muscle. When the ciliary body contracts, the circumference will become smaller. And when the ciliary body relaxes, the circumference becomes bigger. Meanwhile, there will be force produced and transmitted to the lens by the suspensory ligaments to control the thickness of the elastic lens. Then we combine all the three structures together and the concepts about light rays and converging power of the lens. Based on their observation, when seeing near objects, ciliary body will contract. Then the lens will become thicker. Remember the logic mentioned above. The thicker the lens, the higher converging power is. That's why we need to identify the lens thickness when seeing the near object. On the other hand, ciliary body will relax. Then the lens will become thinner when seeing the distant object. As mentioned above, the thinner the lens, the lower the converging power is. After talking about the terminologies and observation, I would like to talk about the common questions asked. The typical scenario may talk about the moving objects, or you are the one to move. Therefore, you will see the objects of different distance. Let's use an example to demonstrate the guiding questions. Now, the question is about a butterfly flying from position Z to position Y. Then, what will be the change of the lens thickness? This is the question word state, the change of the lens thickness. Apart from state, you need to describe how the lens thickness is changed during seeing the butterfly. Then let's talk about the guiding questions for us to construct the knowledge. The first step is to realize the distance change of the object. Is it moving closer or away from you? Then the second question is the very critical one. Which condition of the lens you need? A thicker lens or a thinner lens? Of course, at this stage, you need to recall the converging power slogan. The thicker the lens, the higher the converging power is. The thinner the lens, the lower the converging power is. After we identify more convex lens or less convex lens are required, we need to think about how does the ciliary body have to change the shape of the lens. Meanwhile, the contraction of the ciliary body or the relaxation of the ciliary body will change the tension of the suspensory ligaments. The inelastic suspensory ligaments are either stretched or become slackened. Finally, it will change the lens thickness. If you need to state how the lens thickness to be changed, you can either talk about the mechanism in the blue box or talk about the result in the red box first. The most important thing is that you need to clarify the cause and effect. The lens thickness is changed by the ciliary body and suspensory ligament. You can also mention the change of the lens thickness first. Then you present the mechanism brought about by the eyeball structures. Before the video ends, let's finish a HKCEE question. In the question, Bill turned to his watch to check the time after looking at the clock on the wall. The question asks you to describe the change that occurred in his eye for focusing on his watch. In fact, this question is same as the example we have done in previous slide, although the sentence structures are different. Describe means that you need to state the changes that occurred in his eye. This question just does not tell you to think about the ciliary body, the suspensory ligaments, and the lens directly. Those terms are hidden from the question. However, you know which structure you need to talk about. As mentioned above, The first key question is to determine the distance change of the object from the clock on the wall to the watch in arm length. I think it should be easy to determine. Therefore, I modify the questions from 3 marks to 4 marks. Try to use the 4 guiding questions to construct your answer. After these questions, I give you 2 more questions about seeing things and eye accommodation. Remember to link what you learned in biology together and construct your knowledge. The answer will be present in the video description. The other question is about the image formation on retina and the visual sensation in the brain. For the terminologies and the guiding questions, you can check below. The important thing I would like to mention is that image is totally different from vision. Image is the physical phenomenon which is formed by light rays. On the other hand, the vision is the sensation produced after interpretation or analysis of nerve impulse in your brain. Try to follow the logic flow of the guiding questions to answer this question. So, the last question is talking about the eye accommodation as a kind of reflex action. So if you would like to recall the idea of reflex action, you can check the previous video about the damage of the nervous system. For answering this question, you need to recall the definition of the reflex action first. And then you will know that why the changes of the lens shape, convergence, and the pupil size control the pupil size, they are regarded as the reflex action. So if you have any question, please leave it in the comment area. I will answer you as soon as possible. See you next time. Bye bye.